Hello, everyone, and welcome to For the Girls podcast. My name is Lauren, and today we are going to talk about something we learned in our HD 205 class on personalities. We'll be linking this course concept on personality types and their love languages. And today we're joined by some very special guests.
Hi, my name's Livier.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Anahi.
Did you know your personality type can tell you a lot about yourself? Do you know your love language? And did you know your personality type may be able to predict your love language?
To learn more, stick around and maybe you can learn something about yourself or the people around you.
So how do you figure out what your personality type is?
There are two types of tests we will be focusing on in this podcast. The first is the Animal Matrix personality test that is categorized into two different spectrums. The first being, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Do you gain energy from being around others or being by yourself? The second spectrum is, are you a thinker or a feeler? This means, do you think of things more logically or emotionally? Based on what side of each spectrum you are on, you fall under a different Animal Matrix personality type.
These four personality types are the lion, the otter, the golden retriever, and the owl. Our group has a unique dynamic because each of us fall under a different personality type.
For my Animal Matrix personality, I got the otter. The otter is an extrovert feeler. Some constructive qualities of the otter personality are being creative, free-spirited, personable, curious, and playful. Some non-constructive aspects of the otter are being disruptive, controlling, loud, competitive, and manipulative. I feel the otter personality describes myself and my behavior very well.
And I'm a lion on the Animal Matrix. Lions are extrovert thinkers with the positive characteristics of having natural-born leadership, being driven, and results-oriented. Less favorable characteristic traits of a lion are being vengeful, insensitive, and impatient.
What I got on the Animal Matrix personality type is the owl. The owl is an introvert thinker. Some constructive behavioral patterns for the owls are they tend to be observant, logical, planners, and organized. Some deconstructive behavioral patterns are the owls can be loners, boring, unemotional, and critical.
On the Animal Matrix, I am a golden retriever, described as the introverted feeler. Some behavioral patterns related to my animal include being kind and accepting, as well as nurturing, forgiving, and compassionate. While these constructive behaviors are great, some unhelpful behaviors the golden retrievers exhibit are being withdrawn, possessive, fearful, and high maintenance. But now that we've talked about our animal personality types, let's get into our second personality test, the Myers-Briggs.
According to the Myers-Briggs.com personality test, which is a little more well-known and incorporates more categories like the Animal Matrix, it includes introvert versus extrovert, as well as thinking versus feeling. However, it includes two more categories. The first is sensing versus intuition, which aims to discover how you prefer to take in information. Are you more likely to focus on the reality of the situation or the possibilities? The next category is judging versus perceiving, which aims to find how you prefer to live your outer life. Do you prefer to have matters settled or prefer to leave your options open?
The Myers-Briggs personality test is basically just taking the Animal Matrix personality test and diving deeper. Myers-Briggs looks to see how someone perceives the world and acts in it.
When comparing the two, we're going to look at how our tests matched up.
My Animal Matrix personality type is the otter, which fits very well with my Myers-Briggs personality. For the otter personality, I was categorized as an extrovert feeler, which is the same as my Myers-Briggs personality type as an ENFP, where I was also categorized as an extrovert feeler. In the Myers-Briggs personality type, some common characteristics are being energetic, playful, spontaneous, as well as being overthinkers and hating being told what to do. This fits very well with the constructive and non-constructive behaviors of the otter personality.
So my Myers-Briggs is ENTJ, which matches very well with all of my good and bad characteristics as a lion on the Animal Matrix. Both are very motivated and driven. We like to get things done right away and always have a plan. We're detail-oriented and work emotional things out from a more logical perspective.
For the Animal Matrix, I resonated the most with the owl. When I took the Myers-Briggs test, I got ISTJ, which I would say fits well with the owl and me because they tend to be observant and have an eye for small details, just like the owl, because some constructive behavioral patterns for the owls are observant and precise.
My Myers-Briggs is ISFP. This result I felt really well with my Animal Matrix. It states that I'm a very open-minded person, which can sometimes lead to destructive behaviors such as having trouble sticking to long-term plans. Being open-minded allows me to be compassionate, as my animal is, but can also lead me to be stagnant in my life, which leads to fear.
After learning about my Myers-Briggs personality type, I learned a lot about the way that I go about my relationships. This relates to the way I show love and how I appreciate receiving love.
This leads us into love languages. Love languages are ways in which we express and experience love. Love languages relate to the people you are in a relationship with, as well as your relationships with friends and family. There are 5 different love languages, which include acts of service, gift giving, words of affirmation, quality time, and physical touch. But how does this relate to personality types?
Based on your personality type, we all behave differently, and for separate personality types, there are certain things that people value. When it comes to the way we give and receive love, this shows up differently based on the distinction in what someone values, because what means the most to you may not mean the same to them, including people you have relationships with.
So we ask, if people give and receive love differently, how do relationships work with people we are not the same as?
You learn to follow the platinum label we learned about in HD 205. Treat others how they want to be treated. When someone takes the time to understand the most meaningful way to make you feel loved and vice versa, it strengthens the bond between you. This is what makes knowing your personality type and love languages as well as others so important. It strengthens relationships.
So then how do our personality types compare to our love languages based on the tests we took at 5lovelanguages.com? Does this match with the most likely love languages for your personality type?
For my love languages test, my top 2 love languages were quality time and words of affirmation. Based on my personality type, ENFP, survey research from the Thought Catalog showed my top 2 love languages would most likely be words of affirmation and quality time. Although the order of importance was switched, research on my personality proved to be correct. This makes sense considering my personality type is extroverted and feeling, meaning that words matter to me as well as spending quality time with others.
And as an ENTJ on the Myers-Briggs, love language is supposed to align with my personality type the most is words of affirmation, which is actually one of my top love languages. My second is quality time, which makes sense since I have a family and value spending as much time as I can with them.
So, we know that Chelsea and her husband share the same Myers-Briggs and animal on the Animal Matrix. So the question that we have for you, Chelsea, is do you also share the same love language as your partner?
We do. So both of our top love language is acts of service as well as words of affirmation, which is the preferred love language of an ENTJ, which makes our relationship very functional since we both value the same things.
When I took the love language quiz, my top 2 I got were quality time and acts of service. And I was interested to see what my Myers-Briggs personality type ISTJ's love languages were. The top 2 that came up for them were both quality time and acts of service.
My top love languages were quality time and words of affirmation, both of which are my top 2 on the Thought Catalog website for ISFP personalities. This made a lot of sense due to the fact that my Myers-Briggs talks about how much I value the time I spend with those I love. I feel like words of affirmation doesn't relate to my personality type though, since most of it is related to spending time with others.
So, Livier, since your personality type is very relationship-oriented, do you feel that having different love languages in your relationships makes you clash with others?
I do feel that this causes me to clash with others. For example, with my best friend, she's really touchy and really enjoys hugs. So during the beginning of our friendship, physical touch was really hard. But I've noticed that since it is very meaningful to her, I've had to come to terms with the fact that it's something that I need to work on as well so that our friendship can work better.
A very valuable lesson on love languages. Thank you, Livier. Anahi, which love languages do you find yourself giving the most?
I find myself giving acts of service because I like to do small acts of kindness here and there to show that I care for someone. I like to pay attention to small details of what I know they will like and appreciate.
What a lovely answer. Thank you so much, Anahi. Now, Lauren, as an otter personality, some known traits are being spontaneous and at times flaky. So do you feel that this impacts the way you express your love languages?
Yes, for sure. As someone who values quality time, it can be hard because I'm easily excited and constantly wanting to move on to the next thing. Sometimes this interferes with showing up for quality time in the way I would like to.
So, even though all of our love languages are consistent with the ones recommended for our Myers-Briggs personality type, through our research, we've learned that these two concepts, they don't always have to be mutually exclusive, and that just because you have a certain personality type, all of those recommended characteristics aren't always accurate. Your Myers-Briggs can change as you grow and evolve as an individual, and this is also true for your love language since the relationships can also change in what you value. But it's certainly a good tool to understand those important to you and how they prefer to receive love. This was
For the Girls
podcast. Thank you for listening.